Okay, so let's start. Yeah, so today there's a news called AR Startup, ARKH, a new wearable device is ever, it's kind of like ARKH is according to Forbes.com, and the author, her name is Andrea Z. And she mentioned that the world first consumer-ready special computer startup, ARKH, recently secured $3.7 million in an extended seed round and acquired 95% of all Lethal's AR augmented reality hardware company assets. So I take a look of Ethos AR augmented reality hardware. It's a very interesting wearable device, allows people to control. It's kind of like a ring, but not a ring. It's like a small device kind of in between your fingers, and your thumb can kind of touch uh, around it and control the 3D object in the space, much smaller than the traditional controller. And if you want to take a look of the device, is called Lethal, Litho. Yeah, that is a very good device. And then ARKH just acquired 95% of that device. And ARKH, the company itself, has already an AR ring, but once they integrate, they acquire almost all of the whole company. So they pretty much can do the wearable device, and they want to create an AR space. And I look up their app. It's pretty much you can place bunch of 3D object in the 3D space inside your phone. So pretty much a little similar of a lot of AR softwares platforms that we see today. But since they acquire Ethos, so they want to start doing something that not only can be seen on a smartphone or iPad or tablet or like a lot of screen device, but also you can use your super small controller to control it, and on top of it they want to kind of like enhance the social perspective of it. So which means that they want to have a social space and create a really good collaborative or multiplayer, or like make an extra layer. But this platform, they are targeting on more social aspects. So do you have any thoughts or feedback on this news? This news is on Forbes, and the title is called AR Startup, ARKH's new wearable device is elevating engagement. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, feel free to share.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now on the website. So it looks like a little kind of a ring thing that goes around two fingers for interaction. Yeah, I mean, my take on it is it seems pretty reasonably priced, I guess, $200. And it has some pretty interesting SDKs into Unity and some of the things that I work with. But I think ultimately, I guess there still has to be kind of a killer app here for it, right? People still have to kind of buy into the spatial kind of interaction. And for it to be popular, I believe it would need to have that kind of engagement, I suppose. So it'd be interesting to see where the tech goes from here. But yeah, this is the first time I've seen this, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Alan on that. It looks it does look quite interesting. I am a little bit of a critic of AR, just a bit, because like a lot of this stuff, like you could definitely just do it on the phone as well. But however, I know that Apple's creating their own AR glasses. So I could definitely see this coming out and linking up more with the glasses that Apple decides to make, and it'll hopefully bring a lot more to the table to AR and open up more possibilities for it. So I think it's a good idea. Because right now, I mean, all the AR that I usually see is just off of a tablet and a phone, and it's still very like Snapchatty to me. So and that seems to be as far as it's gone. But I think this is kind of cool. So.
Yeah, thank you, Ellen and Stephanie's feedback. And I think, yeah, like both of you guys are like, hit the point. And I really like your feedback. And I think, yeah, like Stephanie said that I think this is better for, the glass, AR glass device. Why? Because when I saw the trailer, it seems like the boy, using phone and tab, right? And creating a virtual space, but he needs to switch the small controller and look at the tablet and start doing things on the hand, and it doesn't really intuitive, because your hands, unless you have three hands, right, because two of them maybe control the tablet and another one is doing the smart things on the controller. So yeah, I think there are still something that needs to be optimized, but I think they are trying to start from the tablet AR to migrate to more special AR. Yeah, thank you for your feedback. And then the second news is augmented reality true crime. So this news is on News at Atlas, NEWATLAS, New Atlas. Yeah. So if you go to newatlas.com, and the name of the post is called Augmented Reality True Crime Tool Opens a Virtual Window to the Past. And this post was written by Michael Irving. So basically this news is that there's a really interesting true crime location-based augmented reality in Melbourne in Australia. So what this do is that if you visit Melbourne in Australia, if you live close to it, you can download that app, and that app will bring you back to 1899 murder at the Spowring Eastern Market, which is located in a kind of like a town. So pretty much it will take you back probably around 100 years ago, and there was a true crime happened in that market. So you can download that app, and then because it's location based, so once you find that the real location in Melbourne in Australia, you can see there will be a lot of like the old crime, or you can see some augmented reality stuff like explain the crime for you, and all you need to do is to investigate what happened for the true crime, and then you can solve the problem. So I find that is very interesting. If you go to the site, you can see there were two people sitting on the table wearing like 100 years ago's clothes, just right in Melbourne's Chinatown. So yeah, so it's kind of like in the real time, like in this time, but we can use AR, this true crime app, and see the crime 100 years ago happens to exact the same space in Australia. So I find this is very interesting. So do you have any thoughts, any comments for the true crime augmented reality app? Feel free to share.
Yeah, I'll jump in real quick. It's funny, I was talking earlier about finding killer app, and I guess we just did with this one, right?
Yeah.
But all jokes aside, I think we talked last week about the using AR for history, like learning history. So when you go to different locations, you can pull up historical content, and which I think is just fascinating. Of course, when the glasses become more used and more available, that'll make it even better. But even just with a handheld device, being able to walk around and see history, or in this case, it's a specific type of history. But I love that because, like I said before, when you go into a location and they tell you, yeah, this is the location that this event happened, or this is something specific about that, you have to kind of in your mind imagine what it looked like. And sometimes when you go to the museums, it's nice because you get to see the actual clothes that the people wore, kind of the environment. But to actually go to the location where these things happened, no matter what the historical value is, and be able to kind of give an idea of what the people were wearing at the time, what they look like, how they might have acted or whatnot. I love that. My imagination is pretty good, but it's just great to have a little crutch there to kind of help you vision, what that meant and the value of that location itself. So I think it's great.
Totally agree, Alan. I know, like I said, I'm a critic, but this app just seems really, really awesome. I'm a big fan of escape type of games and solving mysteries and all that. And this is kind of like a treasure hunt too. Because I don't know if you guys know about geocaching, but I like geocaching and like finding random things. And I think this is great. And you're right, it is perfect for places like museums, or I can see, like tour guides, more tour guides using this type of stuff to have even maybe like kids being engaged with the tours instead of being bored all the time. But yeah, I think you said everything, Alan. I totally agree with your sentiments.
Yeah, the thing also too, you're talking about museums that I like, that the concept is that a lot of times in museums, you're limited to what you can display, both just static wise, usually symbols, sculptures, things like that, but the ability to bring stuff to life. So for example, if it was like the Leonardo da Vinci device, not only could you virtually place it there, but you could actually have it moving and kind of the way that it would actually work. So yeah, I mean, I'm all for this type, but I think, like I mentioned before, the drawback, or I guess the problem with this approach is again, creating the content. Mm-hmm. Because just because you can place things doesn't mean that I guess the location has the resources to build the 3D assets or whatever is required to kind of make that happen. So that's usually the stumbling block to a lot of this, these ideas here. But yeah, it's great otherwise.
Oh, I see. So are you saying like, like server wise, or just housing costs? Is that a bigger problem?
Yeah, like for example, here in this case, I'm assuming, somebody had to go through and create the content, the 3D models that would be placed in those things, or if you're going to have to create the art that's going to be put up, in the background or whatever happens to be. That's usually the part that takes the longest, is trying to create the content. I mean, the apps are most of the time out there, and the idea is there, the technology is there, but you really have to kind of create those things that go in those spots, and that sometimes becomes the harder part.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you, Ellen and Stephanie's feedback. And I think, I really like this topic, true crime, as well. And I think, mingle with the reality, if we can find, if we are in the certain location and we want to see, like last week, we mentioned about time capsule, right? If we can do some time capsules things, this reality, and it's the interesting thing is that the location is the same, it's just the time different. But by doing AR, we can pretty much put the past overlay on top of the reality. So we are enhancing our reality by augmented on top of it. So I think true crime, this is another good examples of how to apply augmented reality into a really fun game and meaningful game. Okay, so the third news. Oh, Stephanie, do you want to share anything?
Oh no, I was just saying, I was just agreeing with you.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So the third news is virtual reality wraps our sense of time. So this news is on technologynetworks.com. And it was the original story from UC Santa Cruz. So yeah, so what this news says is that the psychologist researched at UC Santa Cruz, they find out that playing games in virtual reality creates an effect called time compression, where time goes by faster than you think. So pretty much they recruit 41 UC Santa Cruz undergraduate students to taste the game, and they find out that like they have control group, which the students play the traditional game on the monitor, and they have another another parts of students, they play the same game but in virtual reality, and they find out that it took average of 72.6 seconds longer before they feeling that 5 minutes had passed. Yeah, so which means that those two groups of students, they need to tell, like they don't have any clock, but they need to mark 5 minutes once they feel like, oh, it's 5 minutes. So they find out that the students who play games feels much longer time for the 5 minutes, which means that the time has been compressed. So yeah, so it will kind of like it makes people start thinking about playing more immersive video games in VR. Well, kind of make us to compress the time, and our perception of the time will be much more. For example, like if I play 30 minutes in VR, but actually in my heart I thought it's like 15 minutes, right? So it will kind of change our perception of times. And during this post, it says that the bad influence, for example, if someone put casino games inside VR space, people might actually play much longer, right? Because they think, oh, it's probably just an hour, but the actual time pass is probably 2 hours. So they will definitely, it might not be good for people to spend so much time playing casino games because they might lose a lot of money. And another way of saying it is that in virtual reality, when you look down, you might see nothing where your body normally would be, or you might see a fake body, but it won't feel like your own body. So there are theories that we may rely on our heartbeat and other bodily rhythms to help our brain track the passage of time. So if you have a less vivid sense of your body in virtual reality, you might be missing the pulse of the timekeeping mechanism. So what do you think? Any feedback for the news?
Yeah, this is it's really interesting because I've not really followed VR too much over my AR career, but I recently got into it as of a couple of months ago, and what I found interesting is the psychology of VR, and that is that once you, like with AR, you have a good perception of your surroundings. You're just kind of filling it with virtual content, but with VR, you kind of, for the most part, lose track of everything else in the world. So I think psychologically speaking, that does have a major effect on not only the psychology of what you're doing, but yeah, your perception of time as well. Because you probably, I guess with your body, you're probably judging time based off a lot of different factors, like what you see, what you hear, some of your different senses. But because in a virtual environment, you're kind of losing track of some of that stuff, and it's being enhanced with virtual information. I think that does affect your ability to kind of pay attention to time. Now, the bad news is that, yeah, you could potentially play more games or, get more involved in some of those things. The good news is for marketers, maybe you spend more time on their sites or their content. But I think, honestly, for me, the value there is more on the psychology side of things. Being able to treat people with, psychological conditions. Like, for example, if you have a phobia, being able to go through and learn how to control your phobias by having like certain virtual content that, you know, addresses that stuff. So yeah, I think there's a huge opportunity there for that part of it. But yeah, I up until just now, I hadn't really thought about the idea of time being changed at all. So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting too, because I have a VR headset as well, and I played games where I was like, okay, I'm gonna just play it for an hour, and then I'm in it for an hour and a half, and I do get surprised when I take it off, take the headset off, because yeah, I guess that's what they're saying is pretty true. You just get really immersed in it, especially with, because I like to play like Beat Saber and like a lot of rhythm games that don't necessarily have like time that you have to keep track of. You just keep playing. So you're not really aware unless you pull up the clock, the menu. So yeah, I think it's interesting, but I don't really have much to add to it. I just I remember going to, I think it was like AR/VR convention in LA, where like one of the speakers said that their goal was to get people to be addicted, I guess. I don't know if he used that word, but basically he mentioned a game that people would like take breaks and just play it and like spend tons of money on, and that's what he wanted like people who played VR to do. And you know, obviously I could see the reasons for it, and then of course the bad sides of it, where you're just pretty much in your headset all day. So yeah, and I'm looking at the article right now too, and it says that research on game addiction shows that losing track of time during gameplay can negatively affect a player's sleep cycle and mood, and could be more pronounced in virtual reality. So that's going to be interesting to see, because yeah, when I play video games, I do have an addictive personality when it comes to games. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see like what happens as we go further with this.
Yeah, thank you for Stephanie, Ellen's feedback. And yeah, I think totally, I agree with you guys that, yeah, like playing VR games, sometimes I would lose the sense of time. For example, I play Star Wars game, VR game in the living room, and I thought like, oh, just 30 minutes, but it's kind of like an hour, or, you know, like much longer than I thought. So it's very interesting to see, you know, parallel or like metaverse is happening, like when your brain is inside other space, time and space world, and your body actually inside this physical world. And our sense of time is very interesting to see that how we perceive time. And without our physical body, maybe our sense of time will change without the body. So it's very interesting to see the research. And yeah, I think, yeah, so yeah. So thank you everyone and join me today. And tomorrow we will have some discussion, wonderful discussion. And thank you for Ellen and Stephanie. Yeah, your feedback, those are really good inputs for the news. Thank you so much, and hopefully see you tomorrow.
Take care, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me today, and hopefully see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.